Hello there, everybody. Hope you guys are doing very well. I'm here with my friend and long acquaintance, Yahya. How are you, Yahya?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yahya's wearing the very yellow jumper that screams out. You know what? Before we start this actual episode, I want you guys to tell me, what do you think about this yellow jumper that he's currently wearing? Is it a nice one, or should he change it?
I actually stole this hoodie off of Eamon today because I realised I didn't come very well dressed for the occasion.
I
so
see.
I had to
Would you say
steal
that
it
it's
smells quite nice.
Yeah, it's quite nice. But would you say it's something that you're trying to develop?
Oh, that's a very good question.
Well, today what we'll be doing is we'll be discussing 3 different things. Number 1, self-development. What we can do, what we've done, or just general conversation about that. I believe there's another 2 things that I'm going to currently read about this because we did receive a DM by somebody called Faye. So thank you so much for DMing us on Instagram, which is a good way for us to also say, if you haven't already, please do the following. Subscribe on where?
Everywhere. YouTube, Instagram, the whole shebang, Spotify, Apple playlists.
Every playlist? Apple. Just subscribe
Please.
or follow us, please. Also, DM us all the time because we do take in your suggestions. Faye, thank you so much, because today we'll be discussing self-development, healthy communication, and boundaries.
I like those 3.
And you know what? As I say that, before this conversation right now, we did jump on live and we did say that this conversation will probably come out tomorrow. And Aisha.m.a is going to kick this conversation off because she did say, Yahya.
Yahya.
No. She did say, how do you define self-development?
How do I define self-development? I think, as we spoke about before the podcast, Brunel put it the perfect way.
100%.
Which was, if 3 months from now you look at yourself and you're the same person, then there's a problem.
Yeah.
You should always, even if I throw it back at you and say to you, are you the same person you were 3 months ago? And maybe the answer is yes. And that's why we have to take accountability, right?
How can that be? So you're saying the measure of self-development is seeing change or growth within yourself over an extended period of time. I would counteract that by saying, I don't think people are the best judge of that. I think it should be someone else that tells you whether you've developed or not. So, for example, I can't say I've developed. I don't like attributing it to myself.
No, I don't think that's true. I think it goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
There's some development that you probably won't catch on to that other people can see from your kind of external. That's true. But also self-development that you recognize within yourself. And that can come from things that, I don't know, let's take it down the whole mental health thing. If certain things made you anxious that no longer make you feel anxious, that in itself is self-development. It doesn't mean to say that just because someone else hasn't told me, or you've developed from that perspective, you within yourself can tell, okay, I've developed. I'm no longer, feeling anxious about this, or I'm now able to do X, Y, and Z. So you can definitely say you've self-developed from your own perspective as well as others telling you, I think.
Cool. What if I ask you this question now? Do you believe you've developed?
100%. It's crazy. I've been thinking about it. I think everyone develops in some aspect of life constantly. That's just life. You're born with basically no knowledge, and every day that goes by, you're picking up data points. You're just learning. You're learning. And whether it's a conscious learning or a subconscious learning, you're developing. But I've developed a lot, I would say. I was speaking to my cousin about this yesterday. 2 years ago, I was in such a different place in so many different ways. How I saw life, how comfortable I felt, how stable I was. So I would 100% say I'm so much more developed as a person compared to 2 years ago, even 1 year ago.
All right, paint the picture for me. 2 years ago. And don't do what you usually do.
Without going into
too much detail, which, by the way, you know, I thought about putting that on a shirt.
Yeah. We might have to. Might be the next perspective edition.
Yeah, without going into too much detail.
2 years ago, so I guess I'm gonna tell the world now. I've got my own place, and
Inshallah.
2 years ago, I wouldn't have thought like there was no way in hell 2 years ago I could have got my own place on my own. Like if I was to get married 2 years ago, then it would have been very difficult, like financially, to the point where, you know, the whole thing about like, as a man, you want to provide like in every way, and you don't want, obviously the woman to do her part, but from a provision perspective, you want to do all of that. If I had done that 2 years ago, it could have worked, but it would have been very, very different. Whereas now, and I don't take any, what's the word? Any, like it's not because of me. Now I feel like I'm in a much better place. And I think this all started from COVID. Like I remember when COVID happened, there was nothing to do. You couldn't really go out. So I started reading. And that's when I started reading things about financial literacy, making sure I understand like how money works. Because everyone growing up wants to be in a comfortable position. But I just never knew how I'll do it. And now my whole perspective of being comfortable is completely different. I now recognize for you to be in a comfortable situation, you don't need to give up your time. You can be in a comfortable situation by delegating. Like now, I'm at a stage where I'm still very far from where I want to be, but I'm now involving myself in helping people and projects in things that I don't necessarily have to give my time for. Like, yeah, I might dedicate, 20 minutes a day or whatever, but it's more of a guidance thing. Okay, I was in your situation. You need to do this to get to where you want to be. And with that, there's so much more that's happening in my life, even though I'm giving less time per thing, if that makes sense.
There's a lot of value in what you just said,
Yeah.
So this is what I heard from what you've just said. You believe you've developed. So the thing that I see is there's a relationship between development and also money, in the sense where you measure the amount that you've developed through the amount of money that you've made, I'm guessing, or through how you've... So what would you say? How have you developed your life to make you feel more comfortable? Would you say... So the first thing that I saw within that self-development phase is you read more books.
Yeah.
It's one of them. You got your own place, which is a measure of success. So that makes you feel like...
I guess so. Yeah.
It goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because it will be like, I'm guessing you are in a better financial situation, which means that you're able to do that move, which means that you believe you've developed more from there.
I don't think money is a thing of self-development. It can very much be the opposite. Like, there are a lot of people... have you been watching this? I'm not going off topic, by the way. Have you been watching Fuzi stream?
G7.
Crazy.
He's done it again. I don't know how he's done it again, by the way. He does the same thing every few years. He'll jump off, jump back on, jump off, jump. He's the only person that I've seen do that ever.
Yeah.
Can you imagine getting that guy on a podcast?
I imagine. So the reason why I brought him up is because he went through a phase where he had like, I could be wrong, but millions of dollars, 7 million, I think it was. And he went down to like 100 grand. Now, that just goes to show money itself is not self-development, because you can just, and this goes back to what I said last week, no one's self-made. Like, although you have to go and grind and try and make money, it's kind of written the way I see it. You're not going to make any more than what's written for you, or any less. So any money that you have, relax. Don't get big-headed. So yeah, the steps you take to become more financially free, that's the self-development. The thing of spending less of your time to make money, that's self-development.
Mm-hmm.
Or how can I use this to benefit people around me / make more even.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore that goes into the whole thing of financial literacy. How does the economy work? How do people make money? What's the concept of making money? Like, these things in itself is self-development. How do I take a product and like push it out, or where do I start? Those things are self-development, not like money. You can win the lottery.
So look at it this way. So I'm guessing the problem and the solution. Because for you to develop, there has to have been a problem that you've found a solution to, or you've learned a solution to, that you now exhibit in your day-to-day, whatever.
Yeah.
For you, from your side, is you had a lack of understanding on certain things, so you educated yourself, and that improved your thinking. Do you get where I'm going with this?
A lack of understanding in things, and therefore like educate myself.
Educate yourself through reading books. I'm guessing through speaking to mentors and so on and so forth.
Mentors is big, man. Like, whether it's a mentor you pay or a mentor you just look up to, but someone that you can actually go to and speak to about getting to the place that you want to be. And I'd actually advise this to people. Genuinely don't feel scared to spend £200 a month on like a mentor for some.
Have you done it?
Yeah. I've spent, I think it was like £200 a month for about, I think I did it for about a year. And the ROI is crazy. And I've had mentors that I don't pay, like my guys. The people that, like, I have friends who are in positions where I'm like, you're doing your thing, man. And it's always a thing where it will just be advice. But don't be scared to spend on yourself. That is so important. Like, I saw these quotes going around on TikTok. People want to start a business or pursue something, and they say, oh, it's going to take 5 years. But they don't mind working 40 years in the normal job.
It's interesting. I think that whole topic of self-development, from I've just learnt from you anyway, like I said, is reading, mentors. And
I'd say, so obviously reading, just getting yourself comfortable, getting a mentor, and just doing it.
And just
whatever it is, yeah. Like,
so getting out of that mental rut of feeling like
I feel like I can do anything. I can't even lie. Tell me this 2 years ago, no chance.
What changed though? So you'd say these things were the things that changed that. Cool, perfect. My turn.
Sorry, I've been talking a lot.
No, it's fine. How I define self-development is the same way, where I feel like the person that you were, the same. I think the way that Brunel did it is perfect, and I'm just gonna steal the same thing. Thanks, Brunel. If the person that you were 3 months ago is the same person that you are today, then you're not that. You haven't changed at all, and you're not growing in any way. I think in myself, I'll use the same thing as so the time frame that I'll use is different to yours. I'll say since the start of November, when we started Perspective, to now, my life's changed completely. I think I've had this conversation with you guys and so on and so forth. When I first started this, I had just moved in and got married and so on and so forth. my situation financially was peak. Like it was really, really difficult. But the main things that I developed were similar to what you said. I stopped worrying about money and started looking for solutions. Because I feel like my upbringing put me in a situation, and subhanAllah, even now, man, it's the same thing. My upbringing put me in a situation where it's always worry about money. When you have that relationship with money, it becomes a thing where you're always looking over your shoulder, you're always thinking about, and you can't see freedom ever because of it.
Yeah. What changed? Like you said, when you first moved in, like you were financially...
I'll be real, yeah. I started seeing the other side. Like, you can actually get out of this.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, Ben, if like... Maybe I don't say this enough, yeah?
Yeah.
But, you know, every time, like, perspective slacks and you, like, message or you're, like, chasing up or... let's say we haven't filmed in a week and you're constantly trying to do it and you're, you know, brainstorming ideas week in, week out. I literally see myself 2 years ago. And I think you're at a very important phase where you're trying to break out from this, like, previous life of whatever you want to call it, mediocrity or whatever. And you're trying to actually make a change in something. And I remember being in that situation where I was just trying very hard on a given project. Look, whether perspective does amazing or fails tomorrow, everything that you're doing, you're actually going to learn so much to take on to whatever it is that you're going to do in the future. So I'll give you an example. I started like projects, just doing like individual things on my own, trying to learn maybe 2 years ago. And from that, like, you know, planning out when I'm going to do it or getting other people involved to help me do it has really, really helped me and has allowed me to take the qualities there into everything I do, even perspective. Like, if we're slacking on something, I will say, okay, we can do this thing about it. Have you tried this? Let's do this.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
So I would say, like, genuinely keep doing it. And even the project that you're working on outside of perspective, which I'm not allowed to say yet. Honestly, that is amazing. And the moment you feel like you're getting lazy with that, slap yourself up. And just trust me, even if that project or whatever project doesn't work out, you just learn so much.
I agree.
To take on to other projects.
I agree.
How's that going, by the way?
It's going well, man.
Yeah?
It's going well.
Nice.
That's a bloody learning process as well. My God, there's so much red tape to everything.
Yeah, honestly.
So much red tape. Anyway, that's besides the point. Yeah, but I appreciate what you just said. And I think, like I said, for me, it's the ability to have ownership over something and make mistakes, man. I think, I know he's not listening right now. Actually, he is listening. Is Emma listening? Yeah, Emma's listening. I think one part of me that is something that I'm also trying to develop is my relationships with people. I think I can be hard on people, Eamon being one of them. Sometimes I can be annoying. And I think there's one person that I learned from with this. And it's no secret that I wanted to change careers recently.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I didn't.
You didn't?
Yeah.
Oh, how come?
Because, you know what? I was so adamant that this wasn't the right thing for me.
What? As in
the career that I was in.
Was in or still in?
Still in.
Can you say what that is?
everyone knows I work for a charity called Human Appeal,
Okay.
and I am a challenges lead. So I take people on adventures,
So
and so on and
that's
so forth.
that's the
Yeah.
career you're in,
That's
and you
the
wanted to
career I'm
change that
currently
to
in.
what?
And I wanted to go into more tech field.
No. I know you. Like, you're so, that's you. As in, not the, I'm not saying going into tech is bad, or I'm not saying the career that you're in suits you best, but I just know you, man. And I think being self-aware is so important. You look at what you're good at and you double down. You look at what you're not good at and you actually say, you know what? I'm not good at these things, so therefore I'm going to delegate it. So,
And that's why I say I'm so happy now
yeah,
that, and I was in the last stages
yeah,
for some quite big startups at the
Yeah.
time.
yeah.
And I didn't get it. And I was always
Oh,
thinking,
yeah.
why didn't I get it?
I
Why didn't
remember
I get it?
You're
Why
very
didn't I get it?
upset that time, weren't you?
I was the top 1%. Selected top 1% from like a pool of 1,000 people. Didn't get it last stage.
Yeah.
I kept on thinking to myself, and now it's all starting to make sense. Because straight after, I get moved into a completely like a different role. I have ownership over that role, and I'm learning every day. My manager currently, yeah.
Currently.
Currently.
I love it.
I'll be honest, like, I don't think I've like worked with somebody. The two people that I work very closely with that manage by
Yeah.
have so much value. One of them is so like, he just understands numbers.
Yeah.
The other one, philosophically, psychologically, is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, when you're just in a position where you're just learning every single day, I think I'm just very thankful. And the other thing is, like what you just said, is knowing your strengths.
Yeah.
My main strength is humans.
100%. I can vouch for that. That is
So I can't,
that is facts
Like,
on your behalf.
you know what Ali Abdal says, yeah?
Mm.
The unfair advantage.
Yes.
I genuinely believe my unfair advantage is the ability to have conversations with humans.
I agree.
And that's not me being cocky, I'll be honest. That's not me being...
It's you being self-aware.
That's me just understanding myself now. It's taken 24 years, but
Yeah.
I understand now that I was put on this earth to speak to people. And now it's just about making that the best it can be.
Yeah. And that is very important. And, you know, like, I'm guessing you wanted to go into tech as most other people for the, like, the freedom or the big thing is money.
And I think
right?
I will do that, but that's where the other project comes into play. Because
you can
I'm able
blend the
to
two.
do that, but do what you said, but I delegate people to do the roles that I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think
Because there's certain skills that you can't teach. You can't teach a person how to be more personable.
yeah.
You can't teach a person to have a personality.
Yeah.
Just like, it's really difficult to do that. Some people are either introverts or extroverts. Some introverts are really good at speaking to people, surprisingly, or even publicly or whatever. But like, what I'm saying is, within an organization, everyone is good at something.
Yeah.
And for me, it's learning that part of you don't need to do everything.
And that's valuable.
Yeah.
That's very valuable. That's the whole thing of the 4-hour work week. And I remember Gary Vee I used to listen to him straight out of uni. I don't know what happened to him, if he's still pumping content, but he used to always be like, and there's things now that I disagree with him on, but there's a lot that I also agree on. And he used to just be like, double down on your strengths and recognize your weaknesses.
Yeah.
And I swear to you, when I was younger and whatnot, I used to think I need to be good at everything. So if I want to, I don't know, start a podcast, I need to be the one that knows how to do the sound system, the mic. I need to be the one that needs to know how to hold the conversation and all of that stuff. But I can tell you now, everything I've done with people, whether it's a trip or a venture or whatever, it's always better than when I've done it on my own. And I know people are like,
What do you mean by that?
If, like, perspective, if I started it on my own, it probably wouldn't be as good as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've got branding on your head. You've got a creative director who knows everything about sounds and mics. Then you've got you, like, you've done podcasts and stuff in the past. And, like, just marrying that all together, of course, I wouldn't be able to have competed with that if I just did it on my own. So I just think like drop for people that are like, oh, I want to do things on my own. Everyone has their own reasons for why they want things, but I'd say try and do things with other people because you'll probably move a lot faster.
What I'm hearing from this as well is like, you've hired before, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing. Now let's just put in a scenario. Yeah, I don't know why I was having this thought with myself, just thinking about you know what? I think I know where it comes from actually. You know that whole rejection process of like not getting that stage that I want, like going to the final stage of the tech startup and I'm not getting it. I just thought to myself, they must have seen something within me that wasn't the right thing. So now it's like a bit inside me that I'm just like, I want to prove everyone wrong. And anyway, that's besides the point. The point is this. In terms of hiring, yeah, let's say we're hiring for perspective in a few years' time or whenever. What do you think is the most important thing when you're looking out for someone in order to hire them?
I think you know my answer.
Do I know your answer?
Resilient.
Okay.
So,
okay, now let me ask this question: is a culture fit more important, or is the output more important?
I'll be honest with you.
Output.
When it comes to making money, I'm not here for games. Thing is, it's a bit of both, innit? Like, you don't want some...
Because you can't have somebody you don't get along with. Because then life just becomes long.
But you also have to recognize not everyone's an extrovert. So, like, you know, people that are very techie, they tend to be more introverted, but they're amazing at what they do. And maybe if you go and speak to them, they might not respond in a way that you expect from your more personable friends. But that's just how they are. So, as long as people are, like, good people that you can trust and are resilient, and I'll tell you why this is so important. I personally think there's a way around almost anything.
Okay.
So if you're starting a project, and this always used to happen to me. I want to start something. I'm 15. I want to start a business. I tell everyone, oh, we have to think about this and that. Oh,
doubt comes into your head.
That's true. It's not even doubt. It's like game over. Oh, that's true. It won't work. And that will keep happening. But then you might hear of someone that
did the
exact same thing, and you're thinking, how? Because they were resilient, or they didn't like just hear that and stop. Whatever you want to do, any venture, there's always going to be things that come in the way, and your first thing is, that's long, So what? You still have to do it. There's someone else that's going to come and do it.
It's true, man.
There is.
So you're saying that's the quality that you look for? I think I agree with you with that, yeah.
Resilience. The amount of time I don't know the answer. I'm like, there's no way. Or not that there's no way. I know there's a way, which is why I'm like trying to find the solutions. But then I'll get someone, one of them like, oh, I can't do this. Piss off. Next. This guy, maybe he's a bit more meticulous with his approach to solving a problem. And with people like that, you can just leave them.
Yeah.
Not completely. That's never been the case. I've never been able to just completely leave someone, because obviously you need to have your creativeness or your touch to the thing that you want. But you want someone that you can just know that will solve any issues. And you can just leave them to do their thing.
Cool. What I'm hearing from this is this then. Obviously, you need to have relationships with these people. And the second part of this episode is meant to be about relationships with people and also how to make it healthy.
Relationships with people outside of like...
How do you keep healthy relationships? Oh, this one's a mad one, by the way. I can talk about this for ages.
I want to ask you
How
first.
do you keep healthy relationships? What is a healthy relationship? And boundaries. That goes hand in hand.
I have boundaries, and I love myself for that.
What boundaries do you have?
Like, I'm not shy to say things that will make people feel uncomfortable. Now, at the same time, though, I'm very aware not to make people uncomfortable. You might be thinking that's contradicting yourself. But so I'm someone that really, really values just space once in a, I don't know, month or whatever. It's like
Leave me
today,
alone.
SIM card out, do not disturb, no one bother me. And if
You take your SIM card out.
I've got a, yeah, I do take my SIM card. But I replace it with another one.
Is it, yeah?
Yeah. So yeah, like, let's say,
You know what? Wait, hold on. Talk me through that. So when you want your own space, what
Yeah.
do you do?
so now I go to my new house,
Okay.
and I take my SIM card out,
Okay.
do not disturb. Or I would just like, I haven't really done it much, but recently I've started to. But like if my friends are going out and it's a proper motive and everyone's on it, but I'm having my own time, I will happily, comfortably tell everyone to piss off. And just
Okay.
really take that time or space that I want. And it's honestly, it's never a thing of like, oh, I'm upset or like someone's annoyed me or I'm annoyed at them. It's like, knowing myself for the past like year, I've just been a maniac. I'm just constantly busy. Like tomorrow I have so many things that I need to do. I need to, I don't know, like take this person here and pick this up there and go here. It's just it's just crazy. So I don't feel bad to make you uncomfortable because I need this space. At the same time, if we're in a group conversation and someone's saying something a bit off, directing towards you, I'd recognize it and make sure like maybe change the subject or...
But you know what you just said? How do you get to that situation where people don't take it personally? Obviously, your boundaries have to be set. How do you set that boundary? And from what you're saying, the relationship itself is very healthy if that's the case where people like don't take it personally. But how do you get to that situation? So that's the value basically here.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
how do you get there?
I'm not trying to get there.
No, but you're already there because people don't take it personally. I'm guessing.
I don't know that.
Oh, you don't know that?
I don't know that.
So how have you set that boundary? Just by saying it? Just by saying leave me alone, basically? Or do you not even say anything?
No, I'll say like if there's a friend thing happening, like you guys go, I'm not going. Or
have you thought about how that makes them feel?
With all due respect, I don't care. I won't just say it.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
But that means that you haven't really understood the whole thing of boundaries. The boundaries need to be set. I agree with that. But for the relationship to continue being healthy,
they need to also recognize that.
Both sides, but I think the conversation needs to be had.
I think it gets too... I mean, if it's like my mum, and let's say I put my hands up, and like today I'm going to go and like spend a lot of time because I've been just in, out. Certain people you can't have boundaries with. So, like...
Whoa.
So, like, my mum... So, I've got, like, a proper white interior in my new house. And she came in, like, she'll come in and, like, whatever she wants, I'll do it. Like, I need to make sure, you know, she feels like it's her home, because it is her home. Whatever's mine is my parents', yeah? And... I made her coffee and she sat down and I said to myself, like, even if she dropped it on like the carpet or the thing, whatever, don't care. Like, I don't, it's weird. Like, I always have these leeways for my mum that I would never have per se for like other people. So yeah, anyway, going back to the whole boundary stuff, my thing is, I don't have to over communicate my boundaries. Like, and maybe that's bad. And tell me, is that bad? For example, if let's say you wanted something from me, and let's say I don't know, let's say you just wanted something from me, and that particular day I was unavailable. I just like, nah, today I'm not doing anything.
I wouldn't take it personally though.
You wouldn't,
No.
and I'd appreciate that. I like that. I just don't like. I wouldn't like it if you did take it personally.
No, but that's because
But maybe context matters.
maybe context does matter, because if I asked you for something and you said you couldn't, I know 100%, but I don't know why I feel like this, but I know 100% it means that you're not in a position to do it. But I know if I ask you something and you can do it, that you would do it.
Yeah, I like
So
that.
I think that goes down to the fact that you keep your word.
Yes, and I was having a conversation with this with someone. It was over a card game called "We're Not Strangers."
Okay.
You heard that? You heard of that? But it was my own one. Got it for my birthday, and I was playing it. And one of the questions.
You've got a card game, your own card game.
Yeah, it's called Yahya level. What's the title of it? Yahya's card game. I don't know. It's so bad, but it's so sick. Like I use it to, like if I'm having like a catch up with like some nieces, like I'll sit down, I'll take my cards out and we'll play. And one of the questions was, how do you think others perceive you, and how does it differ from what you perceive yourself as? And one of the thing was, I felt sometimes I could be perceived as selfish, and she was like, no. But the reason why I said that was because I set boundaries, and if someone really wants something at a specific time, and I know that it's probably like, it will make their life easier, and I'd love to, but I'm busy as well today or whatever, I feel like that can sometimes come across as selfish, not wanting to help people.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is, I love to help people. I always put myself in other people's shoes. But at the same time, I have boundaries, and sometimes that can come across as being selfish, even though it's not. I don't know how it ended up here.
I'm confused myself, but yeah, that's crazy. I think just through the conversation I just had with you right now, I think I've realized why. I think you're good at what you do in terms of the relationships that you have with people because of the fact that you keep your word. If you didn't keep your word to things, let's say you said you'd do something, you wouldn't do it, or you said you'd be somewhere and you wouldn't be there. You're always punctual, and if you're not punctual, you'll communicate it. I think those are things that are so mundane that people don't take too seriously. That are the reason why that trust is developed, and people won't take it personally if you do slack on certain things, because we are humans at the end of the day. It's just I think your values are very strong. Because your values are strong, you act upon them. Yeah. Everything else that comes with it is you're able to give the other person slack.
What are your boundaries? What are your no-goals?
This topic's crazy. I've been in situations where I've had unhealthy relationships with people, and I feel like that's because I didn't set boundaries. And so you know me right now, I can be a bit of a nice guy, sometimes a bit too much. Now I've learned to not be too much of a nice guy, and if something is affecting you, say it. Don't just be quiet because of the sake of peace. And I even know where that comes from. That comes from the need to keep everyone happy.
Yeah. And that comes at a cost. The compromise is your own at some point.
I'm the oldest, and I've always had to be in the position within my family where I'm the one that calms everything down. I'm the peacemaker. In school, I've never ever been in a fight my whole life. I was the peacemaker.
Yeah.
And I've taken that into my adult life now, where it's like I try to calm things down. So if people are arguing, I'm the one that's...
But this is what I mean about you developing though. Like, genuinely, I'm not just saying this to gas you up, but I'll see things that you do that are very developing. Like, maybe when I first met you and you were just like this funny, happy, smiley guy, I wouldn't have thought that you would be able to have serious conversations about things. But the fact that you've recognized that and that you're actually, taking the necessary steps to improve that, that's good.
Well, yeah.
What other boundaries? So happy guy.
It's in the. I need to be careful what I say.
Without going into too much
too much detail.
We've actually gone into a lot of detail today. Wow.
Yeah. I think the boundaries of people leaving me alone. I think. Like I think it's a guy thing, innit?
Do you like being left alone?
Sometimes.
Rarely, right?
No, not really. Like there is. You'll be surprised. You know what it is? Yeah. I'll give you some detail in it. When I was at home living under like my mum's roof and that, whenever I'd come home, like I'd come home late, and the first thing I'd do is go upstairs to my room and get on my phone. And just that was my time to just disconnect from everything, because it's just my mind space, innit? Like I just want to be there, innit?
Yeah.
Now when I got married and I did that, like I'd finish working or doing whatever, I'd come home, and then the first thing I'd do is sit on the sofa and get my phone out and scroll Instagram.
And that causes issues.
My wife didn't understand it.
Does she understand now?
She's getting there.
Yeah, we need
But
to.
she didn't understand it at all.
Yeah, that's a big thing, man.
Because you know what it is? It's like, I don't think she understood, because maybe she comes from
it's because she's a woman.
Maybe it's
no, it is. Because
you would do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Amy, you do the same thing, right?
I've seen a lot of guys complain about
We're
this.
all the same. That's how we are as humans. And you know what it is? Unfortunately, we don't understand females.
Yeah, we don't.
And females don't understand us.
But
and
there are
the
core
education.
things. Yeah. So men are from Mars, women are from Venus. You heard of that book?
No.
Sick book. It was. It talks about like how to deal with women as a man and how to deal with.
Bro, I need to read this book.
No, honestly, genuinely, it would improve your relationship.
Write this down.
Men are from Mars, women are from.
No, write it down, because we'll do a book club over it.
Venus. Oh, this is one of the books that changed my life.
Should we do a book club episode about
I
it?
think we should. Yeah.
Hey man, please write it down, because otherwise I'm gonna forget. Men are from Mars.
Luckily, he's not on the mic. Nah.
No, forget. See, now that's one thing that I've picked up. I have to write things down when I think of something, because otherwise I forget it.
That's good. Yeah, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. So there's something called a man cave, which
I just wrote men are from Mars.
which you talked about, like the manscape. Is that what you said?
The man's cave.
Manscape is actually a brand.
Manscaped is a brand, bro. If you want to sponsor us, do let us know.
Do let us know. There's a reason why I did that subtly, so let us know.
November's around the corner, and it's also Movember. Usually people grow their moustaches.
Yeah.
And we want to do stuff in collaboration. Anyway.
What was I saying?
Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. And there's certain things that men understand.
Yeah, so like going into a cave and women feel like they've done something wrong or whatever. But the reality is we just want time away from, like, as men, I feel like we need to recharge after a like long day or whatever. So I was watching a video on TikTok. This guy, he was going back from work, long day, and as he's going back, he's listening to like music or whatever. He's just, that journey back is like an hour. He needs to recharge. His wife calls. He's thinking, oh, for flips sake, man. It's not because I hate you, and it's not.
Just leave me alone.
I'll just leave me alone.
Yeah.
And then when he got back, like his wife was all like pissed and whatnot. I get it. It doesn't come from a bad place, and because women genuinely. I'll say this right now. The strongest woman you think is like emotionally unavailable, she needs emotional presence.
Yeah.
I don't care how tough they may come across. Innately, from what I've seen like people or women that seem very tough, but deep down, then you need to provide that emotional side to yourself.
Yeah. It's It's within them.
Yeah, and sometimes they might like complain about things that in your mind is like, bruv, why are you complaining about this? It's not that deep. But you can't say that. You can't invalidate their feelings. You have to just listen. And you know what? Like even though it may not make any sense to you, if you just listen, you kind of sometimes, although you wouldn't feel the same, you kind of develop like an understanding.
Oh yeah, 100%. Nah, that I think that goes down to the self-development from my side anyway. Having to understand certain things from that. But yeah, man, before like we transcend too much into a different conversation, I'll just continue answering my question from my side. I know the difference between unhealthy relationships and healthy relationships, and I think that comes from setting boundaries. Like I said, there's certain things that I have been difficult at setting, but now I feel like I'm getting there. I think also with work, setting boundaries with like work relationships and friendships.
But why do you even have work relationships?
No, in the sense where like you have relationships with the people at work. Like you
okay.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. But it's true. That this is where I transcend to Eamon, because Eamon's starting to like, he does both in it, where he the people that he works with, he's also friends with. I think that's a bit difficult to navigate, because when do you know when to shut off?
Yeah, I think Eamon's situation is a bit different. Can I say what you do? So like he works.
He doesn't even know.
No, I do know, and I do know where you work. I was just trying to like string the words correctly. Did you know these people before you started working? I don't know. It's different with him.
Mm-hmm.
Like I hope you understand without me like saying.
Yeah.
But when it comes to work, corporate work,
don't have relationships.
If you were in a startup, what would it be like?
You'd have to be close.
I've seen startups with like close, but then it becomes more corporate.
I'm basically in a startup.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah. It's a startup. It's a very startup culture, in the sense where everybody's
young, fresh, techie,
young,
smart,
fresh,
creative,
mission driven.
That's the one.
And it's just constantly. It's a good culture.
You tell me this.
Yeah.
The people that you work with, like, are you friends with them?
I never used to be, but I think I'm getting there.
Would they come over to your house?
I don't get, no one comes to my house.
I've been to your house.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna lie, like,
to be fair, you do get the odd one or two that are actually friends, and that is true. Like I've got friends from work, but generally speaking, I don't know why, but I just can't.
Yeah,
really.
I think it's good to have that balance though.
Yeah.
I do think it's good, because otherwise blurring the lines can be very difficult. Because it's like when people need stuff from you after,
Yeah.
it can be good and bad. And if they're your friend, then you respect them enough to be like, cool, I can't do this at this time. If they're your manager or your colleague, then it's the position of authority, and suddenly you feel like you have to deliver it. So it's just a trade-off. I don't know, man. I haven't figured that one out. But like I said, for me, boundaries is very, very, very important.
Yeah.
Letting people know that this ain't gonna work for me. I can't do that, and that's something that I've had to learn. And I've also had to learn to just understand myself better. And if I feel something needs to be done, then I will communicate that to the people. The only problem from my side is I'm a very selfish human being, where I will want things because of personal gain, and that can be detrimental to other humans. And I use the same example. I'm not gonna lie, I feel bad in it, because how I've treated Eamon, I think sometimes I understand, like at certain points, like this guy must think, "Bruv, leave me alone." And everyone goes through different things in it. Yeah, I think it's just compassion.
Yeah, I think just one important note on boundaries. you know that phrase, prevention is better than cure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that applies the same with boundaries. When you go into a friendship or a relationship,
Say everything from the start.
make things very clear from the beginning what your boundaries are. And I know something might happen that might be like, it's not that deep. No, it is deep. It's deeper than it could ever be. Make sure you make it a thing to establish from the start. I don't tolerate X, Y, and Z. Because when it's later on, it's just very difficult to implement. I'm not saying impossible, but it is very difficult to implement boundaries in a relationship that you haven't set at the beginning later on.
Everything needs to be intentional.
Yeah.
Everything intentional from the start.
Yeah. And that's why I say, you know, people that get married really, really young,
Mm-hmm.
and they haven't really, and look, we're always figuring ourselves out. But you don't know what your boundaries are really when you're young.
That's true.
And so you go into like this world, and then as you become older, you realize, oh wow, like I tolerated a lot of X, Y, and Z, but I realized these are actually my boundaries. And if I bring it up now, yeah, it might be respected, but it's just a lot harder. So yeah, prevention is better than cure. And I think that applies the same way for boundaries.
I've really enjoyed this episode.
It was
I
a
think
good one.
You know what? It's the first time that we've actually done this without planning anything. No iPad,
Oh wow,
no
we actually
nothing.
didn't plan anything.
Yeah, and it just came off the cuff. I was like, you know what? Let's see how this goes. Let's have free topics.
Way better than the
Let's go.
first one that we didn't plan, wasn't it?
The less said about that, the better.
That's good.
But yeah, I'll look straight into the camera and say what I always say. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you very much for listening. Like every episode right at the end, please subscribe, hit that notification button so that you are notified and know exactly when we upload. There's some exciting stuff coming in the next few weeks. We really care about this project. Thank you very much for listening and watching. If you're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, we respect you as well and we love you quite dearly. Please respond to us when we put a comment or a question. Thank you very much. Follow Instagram and everything else. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye, lads and ladettes.
Well, you forgot what you usually do.
What did I do again? It's been so long. Until next time, take care of yourselves, spend time with your family, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace out.
Bye.